Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Terrence here with fishnetproductions.com, coming to you guys with another video today. Today I am starting a series on mixing, and I'm going to take you guys through the entire process of mixing a song. Now, I'm going to spread this series out across quite a few videos, so keep an eye out for that. But today in this video, we're going to start talking about workflow, balance, and gain staging. So let's jump right in. Okay, now first things first, let's have a listen to our song. Now, this particular song is a song I got from over at Pure Mix, and those guys over there, they do a mixing contest every year, and this was the song that they used in the mixing contest on last year, and some of you guys may be already familiar with it. But anyway, I thought it was a interesting song, and we could, have some fun with doing some things to it. So let's have a listen to it. I'll let you guys listen to about a minute or so of it, because that's really the primary step, the very first step that we need to do to get a sense of what's going on in the song, so we know what we need to do. So go ahead and take a listen to this, and I'll be right back.
Pour toi, elle est charmante, elle aime le cinéma, séduisante. Et puis qu'elle meurt, elle veut encore bouger, qui colle dans tes cheveux, rayon quand elle te voit sûrement. Un jour tu verras la mouche qui saute sur ta pommette, sa silhouette d'argent dévole le vent. Toi tu vois rien, tu es bête, tu ignores ta couchette. Elle se tient, tu la tiens, par la barbichette.
Okay, so you guys get a sense of what's going on in this song just by listening to it. And again, that's the primary step that we want to always do when we start a mix. Just spend some time listening to the song and gathering your thoughts about what's in the song, about what's happening, what do you hear that's interesting that's going on in the song, any things that may be sticking out that you need to fix or enhance or something, like right off the top. This is a very objective way of listening, so you have some aim when you're getting ready to start on your mix. Okay, so now what we need to do is set up our workflow. Now, as you'll see, this song has quite a few tracks to it. It has, I think, a little bit over 50 tracks already. The stems are more than 50 stems on here. So we have a fairly large project, at least relatively speaking to, back in the day when they would only use, 8, 16, or at the most 24 tracks. We've pretty much doubled that. So we have a pretty extensive mix here, and this is pretty typical of most modern mixes that you'll see now with all of the capabilities that we have to use unlimited tracks. So this is pretty typical of something that you will see. But what we need to do first is get our workflow in place and gain some control over this mix. So I've already kind of set up my routing here, so I'll show you exactly what I've done. So here I've set up some buses, and they're called group channels in here in Cubase, but I think in Pro Tools, if you're a Pro Tools user, they're called aux tracks or something like that. So I have all my drums bus to this one fader here, which you'll see here. These are all my drums on these tracks. Same thing here with the percussion, the melodic percussion, lead vocals, background vocals, electric guitar, so forth and so on. Now, the reason that this is important is because this will give us a little bit more control over the mix. So when I'm getting ready to, I just want to hear the drums by themselves, I can just solo this track without having to go up here and, mute and solo each individual track, like the kick drum, the snare drum, and things like that. And you can do the same thing with the vocals. Now, again, this is important because this is something that saves time, and you want to listen to the individual parts of the mix without having to spend so much time with muting channels and stuff like that. Also, this gives you a little bit more control over the main processing of the mix. So sometimes, it may be valuable to just take this drum track, for instance, put some, plug in some EQ or something on this track and just see what you're getting and this kind of stuff out of your drums already. So that's the reason this workflow is important. So this is what I advise doing at the beginning of the mix. This way you'll have a lot of control, especially when you have this many tracks going on in the song. Again, this is a pretty extensive mix, so, and you'll hear what we're going to do with it as we move along in the track. Now, the other thing you also see that I've done up here is I've done some markers here. Now, these are called markers in Cubase. I'm not sure what they're called in other DAWs, but I think most DAWs have capabilities of labeling or marking certain sections of a song. So here I'm able to jump to any part of the song. I'm able to jump to the intro, the verse, the chorus, and the song actually jumps right there. So it's a very good thing to have when you want to get some control over your mix. You want to jump to a certain section of the song. I always advise doing this so you can kind of A and B some stuff. I want to see what this post chorus here sounds like to the difference between this post chorus and this post chorus. So I want to see what's going on in that so I can maybe create something interesting. One of the things that I'll show you during this process is that we want to always make the song build throughout the song. So I never really want my chorus 1 to be exactly the same as chorus 2. So if all of the instruments are the same and stuff, for example, what I'll do is maybe turn the guitars up, the drums up, or something, just a half a dB maybe in the second chorus, and it'll be a little bit louder than it is in the first chorus. Simple things like that, just to build up your mix and build up the process of the mix. And it goes a long way in the little things like that go a long way in the end. Now, I do advise you guys to experiment with your workflow. Find out what works best for you. This is my particular workflow and how I like to do things, but you may not like to do it this way, and it's completely fine. It doesn't make or break your mix. Start your workflow how you want to start it. I'm just kind of giving you guys an example of how I do it. This works for me because I can easily move through the mix, especially with these group channels here, or aux channels as they're called in Pro Tools. But it allows me to easily move through the mix and get to certain parts and stuff in the mix with these markers and stuff like that whenever I want to get to it. And it just speeds the process of mixing up. A lot of stuff you want to get out of the way in the beginning, so you just don't have to worry about it throughout the song. You don't want to have to stop your thinking of listening to a track just to go scroll way up your screen and find a track and then mute it. You can simply do so, listen to your whole drum track here, and just solo that one track. So that's what I advise you guys to do. Just set up your own workflow, find out what works best for you, and then go from there. Start your mix from there. Okay, next let's take a look at our gain staging and our balance in this mix. Now, this mix was recorded really well, so it's already balanced. As you can see, I have all of the faders here set to unity gain at 0, all the way down to my master fader here, and all of them are set to 0. And you heard the mix as it was, and it's already pretty well balanced. And that's generally what I like to say what you want to go for when you're recording. If you guys are doing the production, go for tracks that record your tracks pretty much at the same volume where they're already kind of balanced when you get them into your DAW. But I know a lot of times you guys are, getting mixes and stuff that you didn't record yourself, so that may not apply. But I'm just saying, if you do, try to record them at similar levels to when you get them in your DAW, they're already kind of mixed. Now, what we're going for here in gain staging is very, very simple. I think gain staging is one of those topics that's, blown up into this big thing. And while it is important, I think people just kind of take it out of context and blow it up to be more than what it is. It's a very, very, very simple process. The only thing that you're doing with gain staging is you're trying to make sure all of your tracks and all of your buses or your aux tracks, or all your group tracks as they're called in Cubase, and your master fader are not peaking. That's pretty much all you're doing. Now, what that means here is you see all of these tracks here. These little green lines here in Cubase represent where the levels and the peaks are going up on these tracks. As you can see here, nothing is going up to even close to around -3 or anything like that, where you start to get digital clipping. And that's pretty much what you want to do. It doesn't matter what you set it as. I generally like to leave a lot of headroom in my tracks, so generally speaking, I don't like to get anything up to more than around -10 dB. But that's just my preference. That's not a rule. It's not a thing like that. Matter of fact, there is no rule that says it has to be at a certain volume or anything like that. It's just me. I generally like the sound of headroom. It just makes a mix a lot cleaner to me once you leave a lot of headroom in the tracks. But again, that's all you're doing, trying to make sure that these tracks are not peaking. And the group tracks, say the ones here, like my background vocals that are going to the background vocal track, again, so you want to make sure that all of these tracks here going to this bus here are not peaking as well. So you don't want to get overloading on any bus, and you don't want to make sure that all of these everything that's going to your master fader is not overloading your master fader. So that's pretty much what you're going for here. Generally speaking, at the beginning of a mix, I try to get the master fader to, again, peak around maybe maybe around negative 13 to negative 10 dB. And I don't want it any louder than that when I start my mix. And it gives me a lot of headroom to do everything I need to do in the mix. Now, really, that's it, guys, as far as gain staging. As long as you don't have any digital clipping or anything going on like that, and you can use your eyes on your tracks. Most DAWs have meters and stuff on their tracks. You don't have to use a plugin per se. You can do that if you want, but you don't necessarily have to load a plugin to do that. You can see that on your tracks. And that's gain staging in a nutshell. That's pretty much the bulk of it. That's about 85% of it right there. So anyway, let's move on to the balance. Now, as I stated, this track is already pretty well balanced. It was recorded really well. So all of the tracks are pretty much in place. There was something that I was listening to in the track. I think it was one of these guitar tracks here that was maybe sticking out a little bit over the other ones. And I'm going to just listen to the mix a little bit and turn these tracks down. I think it was this guitar, but it may be this one. Let's have a listen and see what's going on, and I'll adjust as we go.
Pour toi, elle est charmante, elle aime le cinéma, séduisante, et puis qu'elle mord, elle veut encore moucher, qui colle dans tes cheveux, rayon quand elle te voit, sûrement, un jour tu verras.
And that's pretty much it, guys. This is sort of unfair because this track is really recorded well, and this to me was the only thing that I heard that was sticking out. And I have them panned hard left and right, so I heard them sticking out a little bit more over the other tracks. I wanted to back those out a little bit. Everything else in this mix is already balanced for me, at least for my ears. Now, again, what you want to do, and I know all tracks don't come like this, and you'll have some tracks that are louder, much louder than the other ones. All you're doing, and you don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I know there's a lot of conjecture going on about this online, about how you start to mix and how you balance. And I'm a strong advocate of getting your balance done really, really fast. Spend 5 or 10 minutes or so just going through the tracks, making really, really, really fast decisions, and just turning the tracks up and down, your faders. Again, you want to make sure that your gain staging stays. You don't want to have anything turned up so loud that it's peaking. So you want to just adjust your faders and your buses, just depending on how you want to control it. A lot of times this is what I'm adjusting here, but I very well could have created another guitar bus, and control these tracks. But in Cubase, I have this Q link here where it allows me to control these tracks together. So it's almost just like having a bus. So I just did it that way. But again, don't spend too much time on this. Get a really, really, really quick balance. Listen to what's going on in your track. I would say literally just listen to the song one time through, maybe twice through, just depending on how many tracks you have and how extensive your song is. Listen to it once or twice all the way through from start to beginning. Make these decisions on the fly. Listen to what you hear. If you hear the kick drum or something sticking out, just go grab that fader and turn it down. If some of the vocals are sticking out or are too soft, grab the fader and turn it up, or grab the aux fader and turn it up and down. And it's really that simple. Once you've done that a good once or twice through the song, stop it, save what you're doing, and have a listen to what's going on so you can see if your balance is a lot better in the song. See if all of the tracks are pretty much the same volume and sitting well where you want them to start your mix. All right, guys, that's pretty much it as it concerns balance, workflow, and gain staging. Now, I can't stress enough how important this part of your mix is. I know this is not the prettiest part of the mix. It's not the best part. It's not the part you're going to have the most fun on. But I guarantee you this counts so much for what your mix is going to sound like in the end. It was a long time when I first started out mixing. Before I did this process, I had heard people say you should do the balance and workflow thing first, but I always dove in and just started throwing plugins and stuff on my channel, and I always ran into trouble because of that. I'm telling you, this part I cannot stress enough. This is that part of everything that you set out to do where you start a preliminary process to get some objective about where you're going and what you're trying to achieve. I'll use the example of, if you're into fitness and if you're into fitness training and if you're trying to go to the gym to work out, to lose weight or to gain muscle or something like that, this is the part of the process where you sit down and write out your workout plan, write out everything that you're going to do when you go to the gym every day. So you're just not getting in the gym and, throwing some weights around and saying, hey, let me go to this machine, or hey, let me try this, let me do this. And, you'll end up coming out. You may get some stuff done. You may gain some muscle. You may lose some weight over time. But I'm sure you will agree that going in with a plan of action is the better course, and you'll get to your destination a whole lot faster. This is that same process in mixing. So again, I cannot stress it enough. Get your workflow down, especially get your balance and your gain staging down. I would advise you guys, if you're new to gain staging and balancing and stuff like that, play with that gain staging and balance a little bit. Again, one of the things I said for me is that I like a lot of headroom in my mixes. So what I advise you to do is just try that out. Try different levels of headroom in your mixes. So, have your faders only peaking at about -15, and then turn them up to where it's only peaking around -10 or -8 or something like that, and then turn your sound cards down or whatever, or your speakers down to adjust for the volume gain, and see if you hear a difference between it. And for me, I particularly like the clean sound of more headroom, but I mean, there is something to be said about less headroom as well. So again, that's just a particular preference thing. So anyway, guys, that's it as far as this is concerned. I'll wrap this video up here because this was very important. This is where we needed to start. We'll be diving into a whole lot more coming in the following videos. In the next videos, I want you guys to join me. The very next video, we'll be talking about reference mixes, panning, and mixing in mono. One of the things that we'll talk about in that video is how to use reference mixes, because I think a lot of people are confused on that. So we'll spend quite a bit of time doing that and putting our reference mix into this track. Anyway, guys, if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you go do that. I'm going to be putting out these videos very, very soon, so you're not going to want to miss them. I also have other videos on the channel for you guys to check out, so go check those out if you're needing some tips on your mixing and everything like that. Subscribe to the channel, hit that button in the right hand corner of the screen, and I'll see you guys in the next video.